Fallout Maniac 13 here, and uh, I'm starting this series for you guys that I think you might find interesting called Skyrim Book Readings. Basically, there's so many books in Skyrim, and some of them have really good stories in it, and I think it's a little overlooked, and I'd like to read them for you guys and share some of these. Some of these are for lore of the whole Elder Scrolls, and then some of them are just little stories that characters in the Elder Scrolls have made. Like, for example, A Dance in Fire, a lusty Argonian maid, you know, um, a minor maze, but then some are like, a kiss sweet mother, or like a dream of Sovngarde. Some of these are going to be actual lore, and then some won't. I really hope you guys enjoy the series, and if you like it, let me know in the comments below. Yeah. Uh, in this episode, we will be reading one of the 16 Accords of Madness, Volume 1X. I can't remember my Roman numerals on which volume this is, but yeah, this is gonna be one of those. And also, sorry if I pronounce any of the words wrong. And the Elder Scrolls, they use a different type of grammar that is different than normal grammar. It's pretty much basically the same type of grammar, except they have little words that only exist in the Elder Scrolls. And yeah. And, excuse me. I shall begin. Vera Mina's Tale. Darius Shano found himself running as fast as he could. He had no idea what he was running from or towards, but he didn't care. The desire saturated his mind. There was nothing in the world except flight. He looked around for landmarks, anything to place himself or to use as a target, but to no avail. The featureless grasslands through which he was sprinting extended as far as the eye could see. Just have to keep running, he thought to himself. I have to run as fast as I can. Oh, on and on he ran, with no end in sight or in mind. Standing over Darius Shano, while he lay quietly in his bed, where his mistress, Vera Mina, the dream weaver, and the mad god Sheogorath. Vera Nima looked down with pride at this disciple of hers, and was boastful of her little jewel. Such potential in this one. Though dreams of inspiration, I have nurtured literary talent into fruition, and now he stands in acclaim as an emerging bard and poet. He will gain much favor before I tire of him. Sheogorath too gazed at the young Breton artist and saw that he was indeed famous among the other mortals. Mustered Sheogorath. But now many are there who hate this mortal whom you have built. It is the hatred of the mortals which confirms greatness, and not their love. Surely you can accomplish this as well. Veronima's eyes narrowed. Yes, the mortals are indeed often foolish and petty, and it is true that many of their most bold have been despised. Do not worry, mad one, for I have the power to achieve many forms of greatness. With this one, hatred among them.
Perhaps, Dreamweaver, it would be amusing to show who has this power, inspire foolish, arrogant hatred of this mortal for 10 years, and then I will do the same. We shall see whose talents are most efficient, free of aid and interference from any of the Daedra.
At this she relaxed into confident pleasure. The mad god is indeed powerful, but this task is suited to my skills. The mortals are repulsed by madness, but rarely think it worthy of hate. I shall take pleasure in revealing this to you, as I bring the more subtle horrors out of this mortal's subconscious. And so, in the 19th year of his life, the dreams Darius Chanot had been experiencing began to change. Fear had always been part of the night for him, but now there was something else. A darkness began to creep into his slumber, a darkness that sucked away all feeling and color, leaving only emptiness behind. When this happened, he opened his mouth to scream, but found that the darkness had taken his voice as well. All he had was the terror and the void, and each night they filled him with a new understanding of death. Yet when he woke there was no fear, for he had faith that his lady had a purpose. Indeed, one night Veronima herself emerged from the void. She leaned in close to whisper into his ear, Watch carefully, beloved." With that, she pulled the void away, and for hours each night she would reveal to Darius the most horrible perversions of nature. Men been skinned and eaten alive by other men, unimaginable beasts of many limbs and mouths, entire populations being burned. Their screams filled his every evening and time. These visions gnawed at his soul, and his work began to take on the character of his nightmares. The images revealed to him at night were reproduced on the page, and the terrible cruelty and hollow vice that his work contained both revolted and fascinated the public. They revealed in their disgust over every detail. There were those who openly enjoyed his shocking material, and his popularity among some only fed the hatred of those who found him aberrant. This continued for several years, while the infamy of Darius grew steadily. Then, in his 29th year, without warning, the dreams and nightmares ceased. Darius felt a weight lifted, as he no longer endured the nightly tortures, but was confused.
"What have I done to displease my mistress?" he wondered aloud. "Why has she abandoned me?"
Veronima never answered his prayers. No one ever answered, and the restless dreams faded away to leave Darius in long, deep sleeps. Interest in the works of Darius Chanot waned, his prose became stale, and his ideas failed to provoke the shock and outrage they once had. As the memory of his notoriety and his terrible dreams faded, the questions that raced his mind eventually produced resentment against Veronima, his former mistress. Resentment grew into hatred. From hatred came ridicule, and over time ridicule became disbelief. Slowly it became obvious Veronima had never spoken to him at all. His dreams were simply the product of a sick mind that had righted itself. He had been deceived by his own subconscious, and the anger and shame overwhelmed him. The man who once conversed with a deity drifted steadily into heresy. In time, all of the bitterness, doubt, and sacrilege focused in Darius, a creative philosophy that was threaded throughout all of his subsequent work. He challenged the gods themselves, as well as the infantile public and corrupt state for worshipping them. He mocked them all with perverse caricatures, sparing no one and giving no quarter. He challenged the gods in public to strike him down if they existed, and ridiculed them when no such calm appearance was delivered. To all of this, the people reacted with outrage for greater than they had shown his previous work. His early career had offended only sensibilities, but now he was striking directly at the heart of the people. His body of work grew in size and intensity. Temples, nobles, and commoners were all targets of his scorn. Finally, at age 39, Darius wrote a piece entitled "The Noblest Fool," ridiculing the emperor god Tiber Septim for interrogating into the pathetic Nine Divines cult the local king of Daenia, who had been humiliated by this upstart in the past, saw his chance for his sacrilege against the empire. Darius Shana was executed with a ceremonial blade. In front of a cheering crowd of hundreds, his last bitter words were gurgled throughout a mouthful of his own blood. Excuse me. 20 years after their wager was first placed, Veranima and Shirgarath met over Darishana's headless corpse. The Dreamweaver had been eager for this meeting. She had been waiting for years to confront the Daedric prince over his lack of action. "I had been deceived by you, Shirgarath. I performed my half of the bargain, but during your 10 years you never contacted the mortal once. He owes none of his greatness to you, or your talents, or your influence."
Nonsense!
Cracked the mad god.
I was with him all along, and with your time ended, and not mine began. Your whispers in his ear were replaced with silence. I served his link to that from which he found the most confront and meaning, and withheld the very attention the creature so desperately craved. Without his mistress, this man's character could ripen under resentment and hatred. Now his bitterness is total, and overcome by his madness, fueled by his rage, he feeds me and my realm an eternal servant.
Shirogarath turned and spoke to the empty space by his side.
Indeed, Dariashano was a glorious mortal, despised by his own people, his kings, and even by the gods he mocked. For my success, I shall accept 70 followers of Veranima into my service, and the dreamers will awaken as madmen.
And thus did Shirogarath teach Veranima that without madness there are no dreams and no creation. Veranima will never forget this lesson. Well, this has been the 16 Accords of Madness, Volume 1X. This has been Episode 1 of the Skyrim book reading. series. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you like this type of content and you want to see more of this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please tell me your thoughts, and if there's anything you'd like to see me do or read, um, please tell me in the comments below. I will try to respond to as many of you as possible. Um, Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Fallout Maniac 13. And stay radioactive, and Talos guide you. See you in the next one.